Hey,
Hello.
good morning.
Oh my gosh. I can't see my face right now because it's telling me that Dunes and Duchess wants to go live with me.
Well, I
So,
see you perfectly and your hair
okay,
looks
that's good.
fantastic.
I feel totally comfortable
Golly.
being live and not being able to see any of my face. Everything's fine.
You look great. There's no muffin in your teeth or anything
Oh my
like that this
gosh.
morning. Yeah.
Thank you guys for dealing with the technical difficulties. That's why we have Stacy here because you
Hmm.
are the queen of Instagram. I'm sure
I
you
don't know
know
about that, but you
everyone here
know.
knows you, but for like the one person who maybe doesn't, well, we'll just share maybe how we met like over 10 years ago.
It's
Um, yeah.
probably been even longer than that. You can tell that story because my memories are fuzzy from anything that
Yeah.
happened before Dunes and Duchess these days now.
Well, I've had a girl crush on Stacy Kunstel for over a
Ooh.
decade. And I remember meeting you when you were a stylist working with Michael Partenio, and I was in house with
Hmm.
Cindy Renfrey, who's now a client. And I just have always thought this woman is like on top of things. She's at the forefront of what's going
Oh,
on. It's great style.
thanks.
And it's been really fun to watch you grow Dunes and Duchess over the years. Um, and with Instagram is a huge tool for that. And I've heard that you have given talks on Instagram, but I've never been lucky enough to actually be there. So we were chatting the other day. I thought it
Hmm.
would be fun for you to share some of your tricks of the trade insight because I know that designers are just hungry for information, and you are so generous and a wealth of knowledge. So
Wow.
thank you.
Thanks so much for chatting this morning. So I was
Yeah.
talking about how Instagram has really saved me over these past few months, and not from like an emotional or moment or anything like that. It really saved our business
Wow.
because it just meant that we could continuously be in front of our clients, sharing new things. We didn't have trade shows to go to. We didn't have advertising budgets to be in magazines, and who the heck could even find a magazine, on the newsstand during the pandemic anyway. So
Right.
Instagram has been probably the most important communication tool that we have had to connect with the people who are interested in what we're doing in our little workshop in New Milford, Connecticut, which is building custom lighting and furniture and shipping it now literally all over the world.
Wow.
So
That's
that's been
incredible.
that's been
Well, good
incredible.
for you for being able to figure that out, in the midst of a
Well,
pandemic.
it
Yeah.
it took a long time, and I will say it takes a lot of practice. There are two skills that have been really important to me, though, that have helped me with Instagram. And the first is that I was a full-time writer for like 10 years.
Right.
So writing that caption is a big stumbling block for some people.
Right.
Luckily, because I wrote every day, it's just easier
Yeah.
because it's really about storytelling.
No, you're like the perfect Instagram creator because you have the writing expertise, you have the styling eye, you have great content because you have all of these talented designers who are using
Yeah.
your product. You have all of these gorgeous photos that you've styled. I mean, it's really this beautiful, happy, thing that you're able to do, and which is not the case for everyone. So if you don't have all of that, if you're not, a writer and a stylist and you don't have enough content, it can be so challenging. I mean, can you share anything beyond just the fact that you're a great writer and all of this wonderful stuff, that like time management or you know how do you spend your time on Instagram? I think most people
Yeah.
probably aren't going to be able to spend that much time, but where do you get the biggest return of your time?
So I think it's about consistency. And when I really got serious about how Instagram was going to be our main marketing tool, I told myself that I was not allowed to get out of bed in the morning until I had made my
I'm gonna
post.
write this down. I'm taking
And
notes.
and that's
Yeah.
absolutely the truth. I mean, it didn't matter what was so pressing. There was nothing more pressing than me successfully promoting and talking about my business and what we do.
Right.
And so I just made a deal with myself, no getting out of bed until I had done my post, and then I could really start my day.
Right.
Um, and you have to understand, I mean, I was kind of an early adapter to Instagram. I have been on Instagram since 2012. I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah.
it's, and
Same.
it's a, and we have a really good following, but it's a real following.
Right.
They're don't ever pay for things. Don't ever,
Right.
try to surreptitiously get followers in the wrong way. It's a real, organic, very, very engaged group of people who are with us, and we feel
Yeah.
really lucky to have that.
No, I
Yeah,
agree. And I think Instagram doesn't like that either. I mean, people get hung up on the follower count, but if you're
yeah.
not getting real engagement or if they're thinking things are
Hmm.
bots, that's not going to serve you.
That's not going to help you.
Yeah.
And just in terms of, if you're not a writer, if writing intimidates you, if you're uncomfortable with making that caption every morning for your photo, just think of it as a conversation. And any professional writer will say that they have an audience, or they'll even
Right.
have a specific person they're writing to. And if you can imagine, if you're a designer and you're thinking about the client you've always wanted,
Right.
write that caption to that client.
Right. I've heard too some people say, first of all, that's brilliant. I'm literally like going to type up these notes of everything that you're saying. But I've also heard, which has stuck with me, that you should ask for what you want. That, and sometimes it can be a little too salesy. So I'm curious to hear your take on this. But, if you would like to have more hotel jobs or something,
Hmm.
put that in your caption that you
Yeah.
love doing that type of design. Or if you want to
Hmm.
do, summer cottages and people only know you for modern design, to show a mood board of that, to really
Yeah.
let the world know what you want. Do you find that
I
that's helpful?
love those. I
Yeah.
love those ideas. I mean, and I think it's just about being authentic
Right.
and practicing being authentic. So if it's a boutique hotel job that you're trying to do, absolutely phrase it that way. I've always dreamed of doing a boutique hotel
Right.
in Cabo San Lucas.
Right.
So I can't wait until I have until that opportunity arises. This is how I would approach it and think about it. Or these are the
Right.
elements that I would want to include in that hotel design.
Right.
And then if it's coming from the heart, you
Right.
know, and you're addressing the audience that you want to address, that's there's this really sweet spot in authenticity
I
that
love
comes
that.
through in it.
Yeah, because maybe you haven't done that hotel somewhere fabulous. You don't have to lie
Hmm.
about it. You don't have to show
No.
someone else's hotel and then like bury in the caption that
Yeah.
it was another designer. Just I think people really respond to honesty and understanding that we're business owners and it feels good to help other people. So if you
Hmm.
see that post and you're like, "Oh, I know a developer and like this is someone's dream. I'd love to make that connection." This
Yeah.
person is coming from a real place of authenticity, a little vulnerability, and
Hmm.
it just feels great to be able to help people. And I'm so grateful that we work in this interior design community, which I think really is a community. And there
Yeah.
is that kind of energy of there's enough to go around. And Instagram is a great way to sort of network and put out
Hmm.
those feelers, especially when it's trickier. Now, in terms of back to the time management thing though, like just, rules. Would you say, 75% of the time is stories and posts and, 15% of the time is, responding to all of the comments and the rest is looking at what other people are doing? Is there anything that you shouldn't be doing
My
on Instagram
gosh.
where it's like a
It,
time suck? I mean, I'm
you,
sure you don't like to
Instagram
quantify
is a
this.
time suck. So it's almost sort of like you have to look for those downtime moments that you can hop on there. I mean, if I'm on hold with somebody, or if I'm like in the few minutes waiting before I go into a meeting or something like that, I will
Right.
check it. I'll be on it. In line at the grocery store, I
Right.
will do it. Just any of those little spaces that you can find, to catch up on it, because the algorithm loves your engagement.
Yeah.
And which means that if someone has commented on your Instagram, you would never ignore somebody who comes up to you and says something to you. So you
Totally.
really do have to take the time to respond. It doesn't
Right.
mean that you have to you have to respond every time, someone put something up during the day. Just choose a time. Like, okay, so like at 5 o'clock, I'm going to jump on Instagram for 5 minutes and I'm going to catch up with the comments and the questions from the
Yeah.
day before.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm super lucky that I have a workshop that I can walk around and show people what we're doing. But
Totally.
designers have those same opportunities
Yeah.
with being on job sites or, going to the D&D building or, to wherever, you're
Yeah.
searching
You're
for
doing
things,
cool stuff all the time.
looking
Yeah.
for, yeah, designers are doing cool stuff every day. So some of the most
Yeah.
successful posts for designers are just posting their mood boards,
Totally.
or their presentation boards. Those are fascinating things for me when you see all of those fabrics and textures and colors all come together.
No, I agree. I agree. And I think a part of it too is the personality, right? I mean, interior design is a
Yeah.
very personal thing. I mean, you're having to
Hmm.
interact with your designer. Ideally, you like your designer. So you're hiring the person as well as their, design mind.
Yeah.
And what you do, which is so great. I mean, so many people I know who haven't even met you yet are like, or when they do finally meet you, you're almost like this little like mini celebrity. And, you just, people feel like they get to know you. I've heard of other designers who are very active on Instagram and clients will come to them and they'll already have a good rapport. It's like they
Yeah.
kind of get through that getting to know each other part. And
Hmm.
that is about talking, and putting
It's about
yourself out
talking.
there, which you do. I
Hmm.
mean, how big of a deal do you think that is for designers to do? Because some people get really nervous about that kind of thing.
I'm sure they do. I think it's really important to know the people behind the design. Like, there's two things I want to know. I want to know who, the principal is in the design firm, and
Right.
I'd really like to see a photo of them.
Right.
And I want to know where they live. Like, it drives
Yeah.
me nuts
Yeah.
when a designer doesn't have, where their firm is based, either
Totally.
on their Instagram or on their website. And I think that
Yeah.
maybe people thought that it would be a detriment, but I can tell you that, even if you're in, Indianapolis or in Del Mar or wherever you are, if people really connect with you, they're going to want to work with
Right.
you,
And it's
even if
hard
it's
to
from
sort of
afar.
imagine someone, it's like when you visit your best friend at her new house or something, and then you talk to her on the phone and you're like, oh, now I can imagine where you
I
are. You know
love
what I
that.
mean? It just sort of allows you to kind of like have a better understanding of who this person is and then
Hmm.
also find them to look them
Yeah.
up, in other ways.
Yeah.
So that leads to a question, which is something people talk about, like the no-nos of Instagram. Like
Yeah.
what are some things where you see and you're like, I hate it when people do that.
It,
What are
well,
those mistakes?
if you can't say something nice,
Oh, yeah.
don't say it.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, unless you're Kevin Icebell, who is doing this
No
awesome thing
accent
every
balls.
Monday, and he talks about interior design things that he doesn't care for. And
Right.
yesterday it was canned lighting.
Oh, that's a
And
lot. So,
but
okay.
he's doing it in a super funny way. He's not
Right.
calling anybody out.
Right.
It's just, he's an amazing designer,
Yeah.
and he has a great sense of humor, and he can do that. But the reason I'm not on Facebook is that Facebook is super polarizing and just not a nice place. And Instagram to me is a design space.
Right.
It's the
It's
beautiful
so
pictures.
visual. You
It's
can't
so
have the
visual,
links.
and
Yeah.
there's really a lot of things that that you can still say, but it's certainly not a place to be nasty to people. Yeah.
Totally. No, I think that's really, I mean, it's like you said before, you would respond to a comment if you saw someone,
Mhm.
would you say something really mean just cause to someone? You
Oh
wouldn't. So I think
gosh,
it's really
no,
important to think
no.
of Instagram kind of an extension of our personal selves and how we
Yeah.
would behave in the world.
Well, it's
And
our
that is,
community.
yeah, it's our community. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
showing your
absolutely our
real self,
community. Hmm.
it's not putting up a fake thing. People want to know the real you. And it's also being kind and being responsive and having good etiquette, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some more sort of like nitty gritty stuff that people just sort of want the answer to.
Yeah.
Hashtags.
Okay.
What's the deal with
Super
hashtags?
important.
Yeah,
So important.
so important.
And the reason you'll figure out how important hashtag, there's two huge things for me, geotagging and
Okay.
hashtags. So
Okay.
geotagging is, so if I'm posting something from a designer, I'm always putting where that is,
Right.
whether it's Nantucket or Vero Beach or where.
Right.
I always include a geotag, and I will also hashtag the location
Right.
because people follow the hashtag Nantucket or
Right.
Vero Beach or Palm
Right.
Beach or any of
Right.
those, and those can lead you to new followers.
Yeah.
And then the same with the geotagging. So those two things are super
Right.
important. And if you have a business account, which is if you're a designer, you absolutely should, you
Hmm.
can go into your insights and you can actually see how successful the hashtags have been.
Right.
So,
Right.
you may have a post that, got 900 likes. Well, 500 of those came because you had a hashtag that people are really interested in.
Yeah.
And those hashtags they're imagine them as just little descriptors. So, and great fun ones are like Tile Tuesday and Wallpaper
Right.
Wednesday.
Right.
Shoestagram.
Yes.
Shoestagram is it could be its own Instagram just because
Totally.
people are
That's all we
using
need.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
know. I know.
Hmm.
Yeah. And what's fun too is I don't know if you do this, but I follow some hashtags,
Yes, yeah.
And
And the
so if
algorithm loves that.
yeah, and then if
Hmm.
you engage with the hashtags that you follow, then Instagram will sort of make your posts more searchable within that hashtag. So if
Yeah.
it's really important to you, right, to kind of
Hmm.
rank in a certain hashtag like Greenwich designers or something,
Yeah.
follow that hashtag, engage with
Hmm.
it, and then Instagram will, reward you for your time spent on their app, which is the best thing you can do with
They
Instagram,
do.
right?
They
They love
love it
that.
when you spend time on the app. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you
Hmm.
ever struggle though? I mean, I know basically everyone in modern times, myself included, struggles with like phone addiction, right? I mean, it's a real
Yeah.
thing.
Hmm.
Does Stacy Kunstel struggle with phone addiction? And how do
Michael
you?
would say that I do.
I was wondering what
He
the
would be
Michael
like,
dynamic is
"Put-"
because he's not on
but he's
Instagram.
just as
Yeah.
bad because his interests and what he's following are, it's all about BMWs
Right.
and being on
He's in his
Facebook
own little world.
Marketplace looking for our next piece of equipment that we're going to buy and things like that. So,
Yeah.
um, it, it's about being respectful,
Right.
to the people you're
Right.
around. I mean,
Right.
I would never have it out at dinner or something like
Right.
that. It's
Right.
not that important.
Yeah.
So, and it's really nice to take a break too. The only
Totally.
fear is the algorithm going to kind of kick back if you've taken some time off? But, I'll take a whole Sunday off
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'll do what Instagram says they don't like and I'll post and I'll go away. I'll post something and I won't
Right.
pick up my phone for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of, you need that.
Right. Well, you're taking a calculated, you're going into it with the knowledge of, okay, I know I might lose something, but I'm
Hmm.
gaining this amount of sanity or this
Yeah.
peace with my family. So,
Yeah.
it's not just like with business, you can always work
Hmm.
harder, but you have to kind of balance that,
Hmm.
about like what your overall priorities are, not to get
Yeah.
too.
And there are a few designers who I know that they don't post very often, but what they post is so important to me that I turn on my notifications. So I know
Yeah.
the second they've made a post, and so I don't
Right.
miss anything. Yeah.
Wow. I wonder who
Hmm.
those
Tom
designers are.
Shear.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He doesn't post all the time, but when he does, it's like,
You
wow,
don't want to
it's going to
miss
be
it.
really, I don't want to miss anything that he's going to
I
post.
bet you're
Or,
boosting his algorithm potential a lot
oh,
with
but he's off the chart. And you know what? And he doesn't care. He
right.
totally doesn't care.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the best is when you can sense that when they're not like,
Yeah.
that it's just a natural thing when there's
Hmm.
not that neediness.
But I will tell you that one of the most important things to me is sharing things from other designers. I mean, not only, I'm
Right.
sharing things that, when they've used our things or they've put us in a mood board, 100% of the time, I always share what a designer has put up of
Yeah.
ours because so appreciative of it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's your bread and butter. That's your community. You always want to
Hmm.
support that. I
Yeah.
mean, if you flip it from, it's different. Obviously, you're not an interior designer. And I think probably primarily we have interior designers watching. How is, are there any times when you see interior designers sharing other interior designers' work? Like, what would you say the etiquette on that is? Is it appropriate? Are there certain things you need to make sure you're doing?
It depends on how they're sharing it. I love it when people are sharing, things from friends because it's beautiful.
Right,
You know, who, Denise McGahey this morning, she shared something that was Scott Meacham Wood.
right.
And I just thought, oh, that's so nice that,
Yeah,
she put that in her stories and
right.
shared that about Scott.
Yeah,
And Young Ha, she's really good at that too, about
right,
sharing other designers' work.
right, right,
And I think as a designer, you have to have a level of confidence to share other people's work.
right,
And I
right,
just think it shows a lot of character when you're fine,
right.
like, I don't need to put something in mine up there today. I'm
Yeah,
going to share
I'm
something
not
with someone
threatened.
else's.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
inspired by this.
And
Let's
it
use
and
each
it
other.
comes back to you too,
Totally. Karma. It's a
you
beautiful
know?
thing, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, those are all designers that you just mentioned who are all fabulous work, but they also
Yeah,
really spend a lot of time on Instagram.
they
Some
do. Yeah.
people
Hmm.
don't like Instagram. Maybe they don't
Hmm.
like it because they're afraid of it, and that's a hurdle that hopefully they can get over and look at it.
Yeah.
It's just like a beautiful community and networking. But if you just would rather be designing or rather doing other things, you know, what would you say is kind of like the bare minimum to be
Like three
active on
times a week. Throw it
three
out there
times?
3 times a week.
Not
Because
even one time
here's,
a week, three times, really?
oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't even, like 3 times a week. Absolutely. And you know what you could do is that if it's really something that hasn't clicked for you yet,
Right,
hey, talk to somebody about it. Like just,
right.
because experimenting by yourself in a box isn't going to help you at all. Talk to another designer about it. Talk to someone who's in the fashion industry about it. Just
Right.
talk to them about how it's helped
Yeah.
them. Because I
Yeah.
can tell you, it changed my business. It
It's incredible.
completely changed what our reach is and who knows us and everything like that. So that's why I'm 100% in on it. I'm going to
Like,
post basically every day. But if it's not for you, hire somebody to help you with it. And
it's
this is a
important.
fine line
Can't
because
just ignore
because
it.
I think it should be authentic. The
Right.
authentic should be coming from you. Like I can't
Yeah.
imagine somebody else doing my Instagram.
It
Like
wouldn't
most of
be
the
as good. It
Instagrams I
wouldn't be.
love,
Yeah.
I can't imagine it.
Right.
But if there's somebody who could just do a little filler for you
Right. Right.
and help you with that. And then there's people who are doing totally out of the box stuff. Like Katie Rosenfeld is doing like a TV show on Instagram,
Yes, I
and
saw
it's
that. It's really good.
hilarious.
She's
I mean,
really
she's
funny.
really funny anyway, and she has
Right.
no issues putting things out there. But it's really super creative and it's
Yeah.
fun, and it's like this little mini series about Katie
Yeah.
and her work.
Yeah. If you just have an idea, go for it.
Yeah.
This it's
Hmm.
fun to explore. Well, I mean, is there anything else you want? We haven't lost a single person. We probably lost a whole bunch of people when I was having technical difficulties, but not a single person has dropped out in the over 20 minutes we have been talking. So I'm not the only one who hangs on your every word. But
Oh,
is
that's
there
sweet.
anything else that you would like to share with our group of watchers right now
Oh
before we
man,
say goodbye?
I'm just super appreciative. And I tell you what, you guys know when I'm having a good day or a bad day, especially when I do my little shop tours and I'm like, just a wreck
Well, you
after
look
such a big
gorgeous right
day.
now. I mean, you
Oh,
look like you're
wow,
having a good
I
day.
put on lipstick for you this morning.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I put on earrings.
I know those are awesome,
Thank
but
you.
it's just I am thankful every day that I am part of a supported community of amazing, mostly women, just amazing people. That's the
Yeah.
coolest thing about it
Here's to
because
that.
it's like a nice check.
Cheers.
I know I'm on the right track,
Right, right.
and
It
when
feels
I
good to
veer off
be
of it,
with, yeah, yeah. And it feels
yeah,
good to be with like-minded people. And,
mhm,
you're spending a lot of time with these people. You're helping them build their
yeah,
businesses. by reposting
Mhm.
them. I mean, you really truly are. So that's got to feel good too.
It does.
So
I love sharing, especially like first time designers that
yeah,
haven't, that maybe they have 300 followers. That's like that's the coolest to be able to share those too.
totally. And they get a big
Hmm.
boost. And we love watching. I love your feed. I really look forward to it. So
Thanks.
thank you for doing
Thanks,
this with
Elizabeth.
me. It was super
Okay.
fun.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thanks.
It's Emma here from Impeccable Nest.